You're watching The Globe and it's Friday night, and usually at this time we have a conversation with someone in the news, and we've been trying to get as many representatives of governments across the continent, and tonight we go to Tanzania, and that's a country that's just had elections recently, and President Magufuli has been sworn in for a second and final 5-year term. Well, to catch up with what's been happening in the country post those elections, I caught up with His Excellency Major General Gaudence Milanzi, who's the High Commissioner of Tanzania in South Africa, and we spoke at length about Tanzanian issues.
Let's start with the elections. The elections which were conducted in October 28th was free and fair, and it really reflected the free expression of the will of the people. And I'm saying this because the electoral process was well managed in terms of the voters' registration, voters' education was well conducted, campaign was done, and all the aspirants, the candidates, were given equal chances. Like in the presidential election, there were 15 candidates. But also the voting process was also peaceful. Results were announced. And for the first time this year, the results were announced within 48 hours. And actually, out of the 15 candidates, 9 of them agreed with the results. But also the election observers were there. Most of them were invited, and those who accepted the invitation, they said they certified that the elections were free and fair, and it was conducted in a peaceful manner. Though it is really surprising that those who did not send the observers, they are the ones who are raising very high voices that the elections were not free and fair, but we had international and the local observers who took part in the elections.
Well, let's talk about one of those election observers, and Hansi Tlakula was there. I spoke to her not so long ago, and she expressed concern, actually, about these elections, and she says, compared to the previous ones, these ones were a little less than perhaps what they could have been. And part of that was the lead up to these elections, because elections, as you would appreciate, aren't just a one-day event. And there have been accusations that media has been stifled, and that there was challenges for a number of years on political rallies. I think the president had banned political rallies taking place in the country. And so in an environment such as this, people say the democratic space is shrunk, and that an election, it doesn't create a conducive atmosphere for an election.
So I'm not sure why he had made those comments, but the events leading to elections, I can give you one example, for instance. One of the candidates was actually outside the country, and he came at the 11th hour just because for the election. And he was given, he was free to campaign, and I'm sure it also surprised himself. So the space that most people are talking about, it was there. And so it's, for me, really, there was an equal space. You talk about the media. The media, they were also given equal opportunity to report. And so I don't see, I don't buy that idea that there was no equal opportunity for all the candidates.
All right, we'll talk about the media in a moment. Let's talk about opposition leaders who had to flee the country. One went to Belgium after hiding at the German embassy for about a week, Mr. Lisu, and others that fled to Kenya. Why would opposition figures flee, fearing for their lives?
I'm also surprised. I think you can ask them. because Tanzania is a peaceful country and well known as an island of peace, and therefore there was no reason for any law-abiding person to fear for anything. So really, there's no reason to flee, as you put it. But I'm not sure whether what happened can really be called the fleeing, because what happened, you talk about, you have mentioned one who went to Belgium. What we saw actually from that was not, we saw him going to the airport like any other normal passengers, escorted by the families, local and international supporters, undergoing the normal airport formalities, check-in, immigration. I think that cannot be called really fleeing, because it was just like any other. Of course, that is not in any way, as some people actually call it, being forced into exile, because some people want to mislead. If anything, that could be a self-imposed exile. But it's also instructive to note here that some of these figures were actually living outside the country, and they jetted into the country in time for the election. They were allowed to take part. They did not fear anything during the campaign. So why fearing now? So it's not surprising now that they actually are going back where they were, maybe home, and waiting for another chance, maybe to try next time. And in fact, I can assure you, some of the supporters who had their unrealistic expectation raised high, they are now left high and dry, and really surprised by the fact that their leader has left. He should have been around to oversee, also to take part in the post-election management stage. So unless it is a criminal offense, but of which no one is above the law, but no one is has any reason to fear for his life.
Right. There was a time, though, that the president banned political rallies in Tanzania. Why would you do that?
There was a time, because political rallies have the time. You do the political rallies during the campaign. Why should you start doing political rallies at the time when there is no? It's not time for campaign. So I think that was banned because of that. And in any case, there is a procedure if you want to do any political rally. You have to apply to the police, unless that is done. But otherwise, if you do it early, if there was a ban, and this actually came across the board, it's not only for the that did not happen only for the opposition parties, but actually even for the also for the ruling party.
There have been accusations that the president rules with a firm hand, and that he is quick to act to silence voices. Let's talk again about the media. I believe that Tanzanian broadcasters are barred from airing national or international content on their platforms without prior permission from government. Why would that be the case?
No, that's not true. That's not true. The number of international content that is there available in the TBC. So that is not true. Yeah. Because we see in the TBC that we have a number of content that is it's a mixture, local and international content. Yeah.
Reporters Without Borders says that journalists and foreign correspondents who work with local news organizations need to be accompanied by a government official throughout their assignment. Is that also not true?
No, that is not true. That is also not true. Yeah.
All right. And then, I also heard, and I'm not sure whether this happened or not, but that at one time, President Magufuli said that people in hospital should not be watching entertainment, that they should only be watching medical programs.
Where are you getting that? Because you see, Yeah, because you see,
so it's not true. Let's just get it out of the way.
I think that's not true, because the president cannot do. I mean, when he has other issues to do, I think that's something that can also be discarded. It's not true. I've not heard it myself, so that is also not true.
All right, let's move away from the elections. The president has another mandate for another 5 years. What did he say soon after his inauguration? What was the message to the Tanzanians?
The main message that the president actually did after his inauguration was really to continue with what he has started in the 5 years of his presidency, and the president has made it very clear and he made it very clear during his campaign trail, and he also repeated the same statement during when he was inaugurating the parliament. So he will continue with what he has done in the past and taking over from where he has reached. So I see basically his vision is to continue with his people-centered economic policies, the poverty alleviation, as you are aware that it has already been reduced during this time, and women empowerment, maintaining the middle income status of which we are in, and if possible, actually going even higher than that. So the message that he did was really repeating what he has been saying all along during the campaign, that he will continue with what he has done in the last 5 years of his presidency, and continue now with his policies.
So what do you think that he was able to achieve in the first 5 years? What can he say, look what I have done, and this is what I will continue to do? We talked about his hopes and his ambitions, carrying on the work, but how has the life of an ordinary Tanzanian changed in his 5 years?
The life of ordinary Tanzanians has actually changed. You can actually see the gap between the haves and the have-nots actually mainly reducing, and even the life in the urban and the rural area also very much, I think, reducing. So in terms of what he has achieved, he has achieved a lot, I think, in peace and security. For instance, one is maintaining the union between Tanzania and mainland and Zanzibar, of which we are all very jealously guarding. Good governance, work discipline at the workplace, and even now we expect him to continue with his crusade on corruption. Economy that is done very well. We are talking about the middle income status in agriculture, fisheries, mining. For the first time now, the mining sector is contributing. Is leading in the forex, contributing about 2.7 billion, but also even the contribution to the GDP. Tourism, a lot that has also been done. The number of tourists now reaching 1.5, and also the revenue, but also in the infrastructure development, the roads. There have been a lot of completion of roads. Railways, we are talking about the SGR, which is so railway, sea, the expansion of ports in Mtwara, Tanga, and Dar es Salaam, in the area of air, energy, very, very important. We are now embarked on the mega completion of the hydroelectric dam, Nyerere hydroelectric dam, which will produce more than 2,000 megawatts. But most important, the rural electrification. That is something that even the rural area an ordinary person will really see the benefit, because you have a number of village, almost many village, except very few that they've not got the electricity. But we also have in the areas of health, he has built a number of health centers, but we also have the flagship projects like the Hoima Uganda the pipeline. So there is a lot that has been
achieved in the first 5 years. So the president is talking about hoping the economy will grow by 8%. How is he going to manage this, given that most countries have been devastated by COVID-19 and that growth figures everywhere have been cut down, some even going to negative? How's Tanzania going to get 8%?
I think that is achievable, given the performance that has been done in the last 5 years. We feel that is very much within reach. And don't forget, despite all the problems of the COVID, currently the growth is 70% at the moment, and there's a reduction of the inflation rate from 6% to currently now 4%. Even the forex reserve is also grown, I think, from 4 billion to 5 billion, which gives us a cushion of 6 months of purchases. So 8% is very much achievable if given the seriousness with what the government has shown. And again, so we are banking on the mining sectors, which we feel now it will, the target is for it to produce, to contribute 10% to the GDP from the current 5.2. The tourism sector, infrastructure development, but most important, that discipline. And again, that is what the president has always been saying, that, you need actually people have to know that they can do it, that Tanzania is not poor, and people have to work hard. So with that discipline, I feel very much that the 8% is very much achievable, and is within reach within the next 5 years.
Let's talk about COVID-19. Again, Tanzania has been accused of some kind of COVID-19 denialism, and also working hard to prevent media from covering COVID-19 properly.
I don't know why you keep on talking about media, preventing media. That's not true. That's not true. But we'll talk about COVID. Yes, COVID is a global problem. We know that one, and it's a real problem. The world is still struggling to find the vaccine, and really to understand this novel corona virus. I know a lot of work has been done. Of course, this week we know the news that there's a vaccine which has been found, although regrettably we know it might not come to this for the end. Our place is this side of the world very soon. So Tanzania, I don't know why people are talking about...
Transparent, though. Have you been transparent with reporting the COVID-19 situation in the country?
I'll tell you what I'm going to tell you, and then you will ask me about the question of transparency. You might find it not really interesting. The transparency was what I'm going to say, because you see, Tanzania took measures just like any other country. The only problem was there was no lockdown. And this has been the problem of why people are blaming. Those people are blaming because there was no lockdown. And the reason, actually, because the condition did not allow for the enforcement of the lockdown, whether it's hard, partial, or whether it's even piecemeal shutdown. You see, there was a feeling that could have brought more harm than good. And other people were talking about it could have brought even hunger pandemic. So people had to go to their livelihoods. So there was that balance between livelihood and saving lives. Maybe in other places this has worked, but in Tanzania that could not have worked. So the question that people are talking about transparency was really because there was no lockdown, and the condition there was no need actually for lockdown, because that could have done more harm than good. But again, other measures that have been taken, apart from the lockdown, other measures were being taken, and the people were transparent to report. They were actually reporting that now there is no COVID. So that's also the transparency. And let me tell you one thing: while the world was looking for the vaccine, Tanzania did not sit down. You see, you don't have medicine. Our scientists worldwide are looking for medicine. So we couldn't just sit down. So we looked for other alternatives through traditional methods, traditional medicine, traditional therapies. And it's not surprising, even in the second phase of the president, he has put more emphasis on the alternative medicine, because it really assisted Tanzania to the extent that we can say, there's no
traditional medicines. You mean these herbs that were coming from Madagascar?
No, Madagascar, we didn't take herbs there. You see, we sent a delegation to Madagascar to see what they've done. But actually, at home, we made our own herbs. You see, our own type of medicine. But there are also traditional medicine. You know, people disregard these things like steam inhalation, but it has helped. It has helped to the extent that...
Let's be clear. Are we saying that the traditional medicines were dealing with the symptoms, or were preventing COVID-19 or curing COVID-19? What are we doing here?
Preventing. It really prevented, because now you find people have no symptoms of COVID. So it actually prevented, and the measures were taken very early. So it actually prevented.
Did you test? Because the only way you can manage a disease like this is a lot of testing, as South Africa has done. We've seen in neighboring Kenya, actually now, recently, that a lot of people are now showing antigens, showing that they had COVID-19, but were not recorded. This as they started to do blood donations. Could it be that a lot of people in Tanzania were not tested, got COVID-19, spread it, but were not symptomatic, and so that the problem might have been bigger than you think?
No, the problem is not bigger, because you see, we have now the interaction between Tanzanians and outsiders is very much, and I don't think the case for there could be a fear of spreading it, because it's not spread. What I'm saying is not there, and the people are going outside, and normally everyone who goes outside also gets tested. So the problem is, at the moment, is not that bigger as you might think, because we don't have that. The cure, because we took early. It was prevented very early.
All right, we're running out of time, and I do want to get a sense of Tanzania's ambitions and role in the region and across Africa in the next 5 years.
I think one of the is to continue being active participant in the regional and international affairs at the state level and others, to continue participating in conflict resolution, mediation processes. As you know, Tanzania is an active member of East African Community, SADC, AU, and the UN. We're expecting the next 5 years to continue taking part and participating in these areas, but also good neighboring policies. As you are aware, the Tanzania is neighboring, surrounded by 8 countries. So we see Tanzania active in regional and international matters.
So that was my conversation with His Excellency Major General Gaudence Milanzi, who's the High Commissioner for Tanzania in South Africa, retired Major General, talking to us about a range of issues, including, of course, the elections that were recently held and some of the accusations leveled against Tanzania, which he said just not true.